Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Council. This one is entitled Prepare for Evacuation. We'll get to that shortly. But joining us, as usual, we have the two masters that you come to know and love. We've got Tom Malucci down below. Hi Tom, how are you today?
I'm great, how you doing?
I'm good, already in my festive red Christmas Santa jumper, so loving it.
Nice.
We've got Mick Cipra. How are you, Mick? Good to see you.
Excellent. Just got back from the movie theater.
Did you? I noticed that. I love your t-shirt as well, the Boba t-shirt, rocking the man himself. Yeah, the movie. We'll come to that one a bit later in the episode as well. And this week's guest, we have none other than Nate Tripp, or Ketricel from the forums. Hi, Nate. How are you?
Hello. Doing good.
Good.
Doing good tonight.
Good to have you. Do you guys want to, Nate, Tom, you guys know the backstory behind why we've named this episode Prepare for Evacuation. Keep it PG-13 if you could.
So Tom wins worlds, and while Tom is celebrating with all of his screaming fandoms, Scotty and I go out and buy as much silly string as we possibly can find at Walmart.
Okay.
And we wait for Tom to get in bed at night and sort of fall asleep. And Scotty and I are over there giggling, trying to open cans of silly string.
First of all, I wasn't even close to asleep. Continue.
No, you just laid down. And so Scotty...
I just laid down and I saw Scotty and Nate go to the bathroom together.
Okay.
So
Wait, what?
Which is apparently...
No, I was still in the bed. So all of a sudden, Scotty and I unload like 5 cans of silly string onto Tom and plaster him to the bed. Silly string. And so Scotty and I take off back to our bed. And I'm laying there, and all of a sudden Tom explodes out from this silly string cocoon and, like, attacks Scotty and I. But he ignores Scotty completely, runs over to my side of the bed, jumps on top of me, and, like, rolls me out of the bed because I'm thinking he's going to, like, pull me off. But he's, like, all on top of me, flinging me off, evacuating me from my sleeping accommodation.
Right. Are you guys clothed at this point as well?
Yeah.
Or you are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the main point of this is that I decided I was not going to sleep in a bunch of silly string. So I was going to move one of them to my bed, and I was going to sleep in that bed.
So instead of picking Scotty, who's about Tom's size, he picks me. Like 6'2", 290. And he's like, I won't pick on that guy.
Challenge
So
accepted.
I wasn't actually in the bed when I threw him out of the bed. I walked up to the bed and somehow, like, reached over and flipped him towards me, which I don't exactly know how I did. But as I did it, basically, as he was falling to the ground, I jumped over his body, flipped over, and landed in the bed. And then he got up and tried to get me out of the bed, and I just kicked him in the stomach until he gave up.
Meanwhile, Tyler's laying over there in a pile of silly string, just so... Like, whatever, I'm just going to bed. This is stupid.
Tyler woke up the next morning with silly string still in his hair.
Right. Brutal.
So, yep.
A mix
The
over
things
there
we do
thinking, I'm glad I don't have to stay in a hotel whilst Worlds is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I can make Gen Con, guys.
Yeah. I've got to wash my hair that day. I'm fine.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to wash my hair.
Oh, sorry, Mick.
Oh.
Hey, I can't complain.
You can make it, just don't win, and you'll be fine.
Just don't. Yep.
True. So,
Or just don't room with Tom and I. That's the other option.
It's awesome.
right, well, I wasn't expecting that explanation. Crazy, midnight, bedroom, half-naked,
So that's
wrestling.
why this
Okay,
episode
good.
is
It was
called-
no half naked.
Everyone was
Full
fully
naked. Okay, good.
Oh.
All right.
Somehow this is going to turn into something.
Yes, it is. Fan art is on its way. Moving on. I guess, well, before we go much further, there's a couple of announcements. One, Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you're all ready. I don't know when this will get released. Probably around Christmas Day, so I hope Santa is about to be or has just been nice to you, depending on when we release it. Are you all got good plans, seeing family back home, or just all?
Oh yeah, hanging with family.
Yeah.
Family is doing something new this year. We're traveling to New York City for Christmas.
You gonna go see Tom?
Yeah. It's going to be pretty busy. I don't think we're going to see Tom.
It's a couple hours north of there.
Okay.
Yeah. You're not in New York City. I might get around to seeing the New York Meta guys, but it's
touch and go.
There's a lot of things to do when you go to New York, so
yeah.
I don't think my wife wants to go hang out with Star Wars LCG people.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah. She already agreed to see Episode 7 with me. So.
Okay, you've cashed in your chips so far.
Yeah.
Well, Merry Christmas to you all and everyone watching. I hope you have a fantastic holiday season and come back into 2016 ready and raring for Store Championships. Tom, you've got the article linked up. We know what prize support is going to happen now for 2016 Store Championships, don't we?
Yes. So, as usual, the winner of the Store Championship will get a bye to regionals. Top 4 will get playmats. Pretty sweet. It's the artwork from the Tarkin Doctrine, right?
Yeah, the objective. Yeah.
Yep. Looks like a pretty sweet playmat. Also needs to make it into the stack of things that won't get used.
The stack of unused playmats.
The stack of unused playmats. Top 8 will get deck boxes, also featuring Tarkin. And the thing I'm most excited about, top 32, or participation for most of these events, get Chewbacca promos. Now I'm really hoping.
Which Chewbacca is it going to be?
I'm really hoping it's going to be Edge of Darkness Chewbacca, but we do not know yet. So,
well, we know that the recent Lando promo was not Edge of Darkness Lando, don't we?
Correct.
Because Nate, you just showed us that as well, didn't you? So it's definitely the new gambling Lando. So.
Yep. So I'm hoping for Edge of Darkness Chewbacca, but we will be getting a Chewbacca promo. So.
Good. So, 2016 Store Championships. A bit of news over here in the UK regarding those. One of FFG's partners for distribution and organised play, Debrief, have been doing a great job in the run-up to 2016. They've actually collated a huge Google map with all the stores that are holding any kind of FFG organised play tournament across all their systems. You just click on your local store or any of the stores you can get to and it'll give you a full list of events that are happening kind of January through to March. Yeah, I think so. So you can search by a specific area or search by the LCG only, and it should narrow it down. It's really good. So FFG and Estevium seem to be working a lot closer together over here in Europe and really pushing forward the UK and European organised play scenes. So that's really good to see, and thanks to everyone at Estevium for everything you do for that. So it's odd that you guys over in the US, you guys, spearhead everything, it seems, but you're a little behind the times. You don't even know when your Store Championships are at the moment, do you?
So
I know when the Hickory, North Carolina one is. Does that count?
Is that because you're hosting it?
Yeah.
Good map.
Does that map include just locations or dates also?
Dates also. So you click on like my local store and it will say Huddersfield IQ Game Centre. Great game. And it will list the 6 or 7 different events.
So last year, FFG released a list of stores in the U.S. that were getting Store Championships, but they don't actually participate in scheduling the Store Championships for the United States. So the list last year was just locations, and then you had to kind of contact your local stores to find out when they were, which I think is reasonable because there are so many stores in the United States. But this year, it is kind of disappointing. It seems like we haven't even gotten that list of stores yet. And since the Store Championship season begins at the beginning of January, it doesn't seem like that list is coming. So that is kind of disappointing. I don't know if somebody just dropped the ball over there on that, or if.
I will say, from past experience, basically between Black Friday and the beginning of the year at FFG is really busy because of their holiday sale. They usually have every employee working in the warehouse. So that could be a contributing factor. We might see something at the start of the year.
Yeah,
so
true.
Maybe. The Store Championships were announced so long ago that they have this data, right? Like they know who ordered the kits. That order period ended a while ago. So.
And from our side of things over here in Europe, the guys at Estevium, they are a distribution and a kind of a partner of FFG, but they have recently taken on roles, specifically guys that just focus on organised play, and that's really good to see when it's not FFG employees. Estevium don't have to do that. So there's Michael Budd, who heads everything up, guy I speak to and met at Worlds, and Alec Thorne. So thumbs up to both of you guys for doing a great job over here in Europe. So thank you. And before we go much further into the episode, we should have mentioned there we are going to be one of the topics for discussion. This episode is The Force Awakens, the new movie, Episode 7. Everyone here has seen it. I hope you guys have as well. But if you we'll try not to spoil anything before we get to that section, which will be right at the end of the episode. But if you don't want to hear spoilers, just to be safe, listen up to there and then just leave. We'll flag up again when we get to that point, but we don't want to ruin your experience. So be sure to
good call.
to leave if you don't want to hear those. Okay, that's everything for news then, I think, Tom.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to a bit of a debrief from last episode. Solos Command and the new first pack from the cycle. Last time we spoke about how we thought that would impact, the game and the decks we play and face against. We've had a couple of weeks longer with it now. We've probably played a lot more games with it and seen the impact it has had. So I don't know, Mick, have you got any thoughts on, were we right a couple of weeks ago? Have we seen that come to fruition? Or any packs that you think are any worse or better than we maybe thought a couple of weeks back?
Well, I've been getting in a lot more experience with Shield. What is it called? The solo?
Shield Generator Assault.
Shield Generator Assault and the Droid Revolution. And they've both been a lot of fun still. One drops with Blast that can double strike or unfocus Han. You can pump through a lot of damage. But it's still run into an issue of being able to keep its units on the board, especially once they get a Darth Vader and they're just force choking and reacting everywhere. So until Rebels get some way to help them out with that, I think you're looking at slotting it into Jedi or Wookiee Life Debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been my experience with Shield Generator Assault as well. It has it's given Rebels a little bit more steam. They can just really push out damage now, but they still need the support from Jedi. Like I've been playing it with the two of May the Force Yoda and Secret of Yavin 4 for protection. But I've also played it with some smuggler stuff, and it doesn't seem like mono Rebels are there yet. But
no, I'd agree, and I think it mirrored what Mick mentioned around slotting it. It was something with Protect, whether it's your Guardians and your Ran pods, or I guess Ran doesn't protect them because they're not Jedi, or Wookiees. But
well, Ran can protect them, but not the objective.
But I've been loving slotting them into a Wookiee deck with Smugglers and Han and the Falcon, and I'm getting to the point, Tom, where I don't think whatever you're designing for your World Championship cards, I don't think Wookiees need it. Because holy cow, that I've been having some fun with that deck.
Well, they're still gonna get it.
Okay, roger that. Nate, how about you? Have you been? We didn't get your thoughts a couple of weeks ago, but it'd be good to get them now. What any pods that stand out for you?
I've been playing with the Trooper, Navy Trooper pod. For the most part, I basically had a Trooper deck that it always seemed to be running out of gas and never really was there. This one seems to help it out because you have the tutor in Wrens, and you also have the Scout Troopers, which can just come in for free to help speed up stuff. Plus, Prepared Ambush is a great mission. Yeah. Because it's another tutor if you can finish it.
I was going to ask, with is Prepared Ambush, the mission is you can go get a trooper or an officer from and put it into play.
From your deck or discard pile.
Have you been running like the trooper deck you've been building? Have you gone for officers most of the time when you've got that? Have you had many officers in the deck with your,
I've only actually blown it up twice.
Okay.
One of the times I searched for a Wren so that I could basically just search my top for some more guys because I had out Orbital Bombardment and I just wanted to get some more Espos out to try and blow stuff up the next turn. The other time I think I went and searched for Mock or something. I don't even know. I was just needed a big body.
Yeah, Mock.
But
Mock seems like he has a home in that deck.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you think that the objective is a liability? Because I played a game, granted, it's not going to be the standard case, but I played a game against that where he started with 2 of the 3 health objectives, and he mulliganed into a hand with no troopers. Like, I think he played 1 trooper, one of the 1 health troopers, and I ended up playing Luke and a lightsaber, reacted, killed the trooper, and blew up both of the 3 health objectives first turn. So it seems like the objective can be a bit of a liability.
Yeah, I don't like starting it. I would rather flop into it if they blow up an objective when I already have a board presence. Yeah. I got blown out by somebody playing my ally as the Force and just board wiping me, and I didn't have enough stuff committed. And it was like, oh, well, there goes those objectives. So I don't like starting them. I will.
Are you okay with starting 1?
If I have to. If I have to, I will always bury it.
So I feel like maybe it's a one-of then? Like if sometimes when there's an objective that you never want to start, that is a one-of to me.
The problem is everything in the objective you want in the deck.
Yeah.
Because
for me, it falls into kind of the dilemma that Killing Cold had back early in for most of the Hoth cycle, that it was a great way to peel off damage from your Hoth objectives. Mm-hmm. But at some point, Lightside just says, well, I attack your non-Hoth objectives. So you'll have, I think your game was an edge case and shouldn't happen in most games, but you do run that risk of Lightside blowing up a very early 3 health objective or 2 3 health objectives. But most of your games, and I've had other games where that thing gets up to 7 health. One of them it got up to 11 health, and I just prioritized attacking other objectives that did things like shield all of his guys.
Mm.
So it's if that's the case, if your goal for having that in play is that you want your opponent to just avoid it, then that's kind of the opposite, where I would want to start with 2 of them, because then you're only giving them one
real attack.
Yeah, I mean,
that
unless they're
its
playing
value.
missions, but
yeah, which is kind of why I like not having it on the flop. I'd rather come out later because of the off chance of what you have had happen, Tom. It's like it can just get completely obliterated.
Yeah.
But like by turn 3 or 4, you usually have at least 3 to 4 troopers out, and all of a sudden you're sitting on a 7 health objective, and I've had one turn where I think I was up to like 18 health on this stupid thing.
What?
Yeah.
I've been playing against it a fair amount, and it gets so the objective can get its health up very quickly, particularly when you draw into Rins and they play Espo troopers. Yep. And it's also really funny when the Espo trooper attacks unopposed and suddenly 2 scout troopers jump out. And the next turn, you got 6 troopers with 6 shields. It can build a board very quickly. It seems to be a bit of a racing deck because it can't defend all that well. It seems like that its edge battles aren't the best, and it lacks tactics on a lot of the units. You get guns, but it doesn't have a lot of the gun multipliers. Yeah. But it excels at attacking early, getting blast in, getting surprise blast in with the scout troopers, and then hitting something like an orbital bombardment or forward command post. And then when Lightside does start eventually killing all your stormtroopers, and maybe you can protect onto the Tag ones, you're triggering Imperial Discipline and doing even more objective damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just something you touched on there, Mick, with bringing in orbital bombardment, Motti's pod. I love the fact that 2 years, 3 years down the line, this has now opened up again, bringing core set cards back into the game. I love that's always going to be relevant, and bringing those pods back into the fold. Motti was always good, but he kind of dropped off the scene. So the fact that the core cards still seem to be holding up 2 years, 3 years down the line is I like that.
Motti's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes you play double orbital and then swing with all your Espo troopers and scout troopers.
Job.
So Mick, what do you think about Droid Revolution? Because I know you mentioned that earlier.
I've been liking the K4 security team.
It's amazing.
That guy's pretty cool, and he is not good on defense. Like he's 1 health. He doesn't react on defense, but the ability to attack and be like, okay, Yoda, if you want to block, you're going to take a damage. And if you try to win the edge battle, maybe Guri just jumps in and finishes you off. And if you lose the edge battle, well, that's also potentially bad for you.
Yeah.
I played against a deck. I was running that, and I played against like Han with Ewoks, and every single one of his units had 1 health. So it was like if he blocked, he was just
There are some attacks where it's like, well, I attack, and if you even try to block, your guy dies, and I win the edge battle anyway. So
and then you have Iggy B, where it's like, and if you don't block, they're going to die anyway because I have targeted strike.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I do a damage, and I suck him in, and then he takes a damage from the K4 security team. Iggy B not being elite has made him difficult to play first turn.
Yep.
I've been running double Iggy Prime. It could probably go down to 1 copy of it, but I've been getting a lot of mileage out of his 1-drop reprogrammed droids, particularly once they get 2 guns, and it's just, Echoes of the Force has been really good with those guys. I want more Echoes of the Force.
Yeah.
I don't know if I start running Jarek. That might be a Josh thing to do. But if I could start like uncommitting their guys and swinging in with reprogrammed droids, or committing bad things, things that don't want committed to the Force. I mean, it's pretty good if Lightside attacks you first turn and you just commit their Yoda before they can may the Force be with you. Him.
Yep. It's awesome.
I mean, I think for Nate, any other pods other than the Troopers that you've had some love for? Like,
I'm looking forward to eventually having a good Ewok deck. There isn't one.
you're
yet,
still not there yet,
but
do you think?
No, because you basically have to run Smuggler 3PO, Leia, the new one, and it just there's no attacking units really.
Leia's
So-
a good pod, Tom, isn't she?
I have no idea what that mod is.
It has Ewoks in it, right, Tom?
It has an Ewok companion.
Wait, it does. I know what the Ewok does. It has shielding.
He has shield.
Yeah.
I play enough games with Mick. I need to know that.
You know, 1/6 of the pot.
Didn't we decide that like BTS Luke and Ferris were ideal Ewoks?
Ideal. Yep. Those furry brothers. Very good.
You can make him Ewok, part of the tribe.
So there might not be enough for like just Ewoks yet, but I was playing a deck that had Warriors of the Force with Shield Generator Assault, and it had like Scout Ewoks, it had the Smuggler 3PO, and it did work. Like there was one game where I started with 2 impersonating the deities, triggered both to get 2 Scout Ewoks, and I think I played like a resource and one of Han's 1-drops, and I had the third objective was the Warrior of the Forest. I was just blowing stuff up, like it was crazy, and it was actually a 3-faction deck because it had the funeral pyre pod.
Yeah, the Jedi.
'cause
Sacrifice at Endor,
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah, Sacrifice at Endor, because the only Jedi card in the deck is that card, and if you don't get the Jedi objective, you just edge that because it has 4 icons. So I think it started Rebel because you had to be able to play Han.
Yeah.
But then after that,
You
want impersonating the deity, so you can go get the
go get
Scout
Ewoks.
And it was
Tricolor
And
decks.
Sacrifice at Endor, that's a pretty good objective to have out too, because you should hit your 3 Ewoks.
Yep.
Yep. So it was a 3-color Ewok deck that was 3-faction that was doing work.
I think if more Ewok stuff comes out, there'll be a good Ewok deck there. I think it's like you almost have to try too hard right now to make it work.
Well, there are a couple more Ewok centric pods coming. We know that have been spoiled, don't we? So
Good job.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yub.
But yeah, I get.
I hate losing to Yub.
I think everyone does, Mick. It's
Hey, I think I've actually beat Mick with a yub once.
Man, I've lost several games to Yub. The worst one being when my I played Fear on Yoda and got the dial moving again, and then it was Yubbed away.
Feel your pain, Mick. I feel your pain.
Oh man.
But for me, for these new
Plus,
pods,
how many times can you burn an Ewok hunter to the funeral pyre? I mean, that's crazy.
There's plenty of them.
It's like the guy comes out, you draw a card, you burn him, you draw a card. Next turn, you discard a card to bring him back to hand, play him, draw a card, burn him again, draw a card. And then Luke comes out, he's an Ewok, and you lose.
Yeah. The train is rolling. The Ewok train is beginning to roll. It'll be good. Like I say, Nate, when all those cards and pieces are in play, they feel like the slivers from Magic to me. I don't know if you guys have ever played that. We all have +3 health and blast damage and targeted strike and elite, and we're all committed to the Force, and we go.
Ewoks with targeted strike.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Please don't.
But yeah, I think for this pod, and I don't know whether this is just the design of the game going forward, this set, the champion kind of standout thing for all these pods for me are the Chuds. The Scout Troopers, the Contract Hunters, Han Solos, Spec Force, Pathfinders, all the people that are just there to fill out the pod. 1 or 2 resources, they're all amazing.
The K4.
K4 from
K4 security.
The Scout Troopers,
that's one of the things you look for when you look at a pod and decide whether it's top tier. Is you've got synergy with other pods and the faction in general. Does it have a resource? And are the 2 chuds that come in that pod, or the 1 or 2 chuds in that pod, are they pretty good? Because let's face it, the Mouldy Crow objective would be amazing if they didn't have colonists in it. If they were pretty much any other unit, that I guess that'd see a lot more play.
I don't know.
Maybe if it was a 1 colonist, 1 something.
Yeah, but for me, having those non-uniques be amazing in most 1-cost blasts for hand set, for example, I'll take that every day.
Yeah, because you'll definitely have games where all you're playing for a couple turns are your 2 drops.
So,
and if they can hold the opponent off long enough, or aggravate them enough, you can win games that way.
Yeah. Mick makes entire decks built around 2 drops.
No. Chad makes entire decks built around 2 drops.
I think.
It's called a speeder deck.
Exactly.
Any more thoughts before we move on then from Solo's Command? Or it seems like we were pretty close to the target when we were talking about it last time. Then. Good.
It's been fun to play.
Yeah, good. It's good. Good things coming from Endor then. Very happy. Very happy. So next section, we're going to try and keep this rolling. Actually, as a bit of a theme every episode. Every guest we get on, we're going to see what they bring to the table as a discussion topic. And Nate, I guess you're the first in a long line. So, but just so the guests can bring a topic to the table and get Tom, Mick, and myself's thought on it, and just bounce some debate around.
So the thing that I kind of noticed and kind of figured you 3 would be the best ones to talk with about. Going into Worlds, it seemed like everyone was talking about how dominant DarkSide was going to be. How no one could beat Navy. Navy was just going to steamroll. And whoever won the most games as Navy was going to win the World Championships. Didn't seem like it played out that way from my perspective, playing at Worlds. And I know Tom wasn't even playing a Navy deck, either with Dave. So it seems like while Navy is good, Navy can be dominant, it's not the ever-present, all-the-time winning deck that people thought it was pre-Worlds. And is it going to change with any of the new stuff that came out, which obviously troopers are getting better, but there hasn't been any capital ship TIE fighter stuff yet.
So I think I agree with you, right? Before Worlds, we talked a lot, we play tested together, and I was on the same page. I thought DarkSide had the advantage. and it definitely did not play out that way for me. I mean, I wasn't even playing Navy, but I was much happier with my light side than my dark side. I think what Navy did to the meta was it forced Jedi into a more aggro build versus a control build. Okay, so at Nationals, a control Jedi deck won, right? Leia, John Hurt was playing Leia's command, destroyed me. But that was a very, very control build, and what I did with Jedi going into Worlds was just made it as aggressive as possible, and I think that helped me a lot versus most of the Navy matchups that I had. So, but I don't. Other than that, it still seemed like DarkSide was underwhelming when I expected them to be the better faction. So.
Well, then it sounds like Navy did with its Navy Fortress really what it was probably supposed to do, which was shake up the meta and get light side off of the slower control style decks.
Yeah.
Because a slow light side deck with Yoda and Leia is just really, really painful to play against.
Which is
they're
what
doing
I ran
damage
at
to you.
Worlds. So,
Yeah,
I did pretty
I
good.
did too.
But I didn't do Tom
good.
No, and I think that is a great statement right there, is that Navy affected the meta, right? Like it was supposed to, it seemed like it was supposed to be unstoppable, but it wasn't. There just needed to be meta changes to be able to deal with it.
And I know, like, in talking during playtesting, Tom and I did a lot of testing together. I know, Andy, you tested with us some too, and it was like up until the night of Worlds, Tom and I were both set on playing Navy, and we talked each other out of it, because it's like, we've put so much testing into playing Navy decks and making Navy decks work. What happens if everybody does the same thing and knows how to beat Navy?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we'll play a different dark side deck and see how it goes. We're confident in our light side decks.
And that was the trick for me. I think that's probably, Mick, you hit the nail on the head. With the fact that Navy deck exists means that it affects the meta. That's a brilliant.
Well, your light side deck was specifically built to beat
it. Yeah.
That dark side deck.
Yeah.
And I think that your dark side deck with Sith and Guri is a great way of beating an aggro light side deck.
Yeah, but so for me, the Navy impacting the meta, it's done. The fact that it exists means that it's done its job. For me, it being able to win top tier events, kind of the decks need to be pretty damn consistent to be able to do that and not let you down for at one point in the championship bracket. And for me, that Navy deck specifically, the Tarkin control, it can, if it doesn't get the Tarkin or doesn't get enforced loyalty, and then doesn't get some good characters out on the first few turns, it stalls. And so until that consistency problem goes away.
Yeah, that's why we wound up running Sith, but splashed with Yularen and Tarkin, because they're great control, and you can give up ground with Yularen and then eventually stabilize with the powerful Sith mains and removal, and then fling that damage back at light side.
Yeah.
And we weren't the only ones who were on that style. I think Nathan Nuring and Johnny Shen also were running Tarkin and Yularen in the Sith shell.
And I guess with Council and Fall, it gives you those tools to be able to dig for the board state that you want.
Yeah, Mouse Droid lets you dig.
Yeah, true.
Mouse Droid.
That's a boatload of cards.
And Mouse Droid lets you dig, but you also get Rule by Fear to just stall them out for a turn.
Yeah.
That's really big. I mean, it's huge in a mono Navy deck too, but in a Sith deck, you stall them out for a turn, deploy some stuff to the board, and then find removal for whatever they do bring to the board.
Yep.
I was surprised that I didn't see any pilot boba running around in the top 16, because
I played against some, but it was in the earlier rounds.
Yeah, there were definitely a few decks I saw with Boba running around, but none of them I don't think made the top.
I also played against a Sleuth Scout deck in the first round.
Did you destroy it?
Yeah. Sort of, yes. Like, I fell behind really. Like, he started with a double Anawat and double Sleuth Scouts on his first turn. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna end badly. And I'm just like, heat of battle, 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 heat of battle.
Hey, we only had 5. We had 5.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good example of a deck that, as well, kind of shook the meta up, that you always have to be aware of. But for me, Sleuths, I don't really find myself specifically building to make sure I'm okay against Sleuths anymore. It seems
like a lot of the decks have it pre-built.
Yeah, the pods, as with
so many 2-drops.
We mentioned it
chuds
with the Solos command pods. All the chuds that come out, the K4 droids and the Scout Troopers, they're all great 2-drops now.
In Solo's Command, yes, but going into Worlds, when I was considering the Navy deck actually was very weak against Sleuths. It only had like something like
we got a lot of 3 health shielders and
yeah, but the 3 health shielders they can't block Sleuths.
Yeah, they can't block.
Yeah, there was only like 10 or 12 units in the build that I was playing. There was like 10 or 12 units that could have blocked.
4 of them were mouse droids.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the decimators too. If they declare the decimator as a blocker and then it gets swindled.
Yeah.
Yep. Andy, how did you get on Mono Sith? I know you played Arden Lin. How was that decision? I mean, it seems similar to the decision to go
Guri.
Sith Guri.
Yeah.
So have the.
It was, and this is something I was going to talk to. Is in what priority do you give? So mine, it was a tech decision to go. Most people, I think, are going to be on character Jedi, so not vehicles. I'm
100%.
Pretty much so. The top tier decks for the top half of the Swiss and most of the championship bracket are expected to be character Jedi, with the only vehicles in there would be Luke's Landspeeder, or maybe a Red 5 or a Crow if people wanted to be really aggressive. So for me, it was twofold really. I wanted lots of direct damage to just nuke characters off the board, combined with just the standard Sith shell of Vader and Palpy, but also that the Reawakening is a ridiculous pod. Being able to control, you flip one.
The objective itself.
Yeah, the objective itself. Forget any of the units in it. The fact that you can get Arden Lin for free and nuke characters with the events in that pod are kind of secondary to, I can control, it's a bit like Flip's deck from regionals last year, or this year still, 2015. Cruel Interrogations, to be able to control and limit what they're drawing into. A Jedi deck needs its Lukes, it needs its Rans, it needs its mains.
True, and you can do that every turn.
Yeah.
If you continue winning the edge, you can do it. You can do it twice around.
And it's one of those things that it snowballs. If you do win the Force and can trigger it once or twice to keep the mains out of their hand, they need their mains to take the Force back off a Vader or an Arden or a Palpy or a Mara.
Yeah.
So if you're constricting that, it just snowballs. So it was definitely a meta thing. I mean, as soon as we started playtesting, Tom, you guys had said you'd never really given it much consideration, but over here,
I hadn't.
But over here, this is the great example of why the Skype League, I think, is going to be a really good thing. Is that you guys hadn't seen that all that much at all, but it defined the UK meta over here for the past kind of 3 or 4 months. So if we can, the closer we can get to having a global meta where things are in a much bigger mixing pot, that can be a good thing.
Yeah, the control is really good, but then also being able to bring in Arden Lin as a combat trick.
Yeah. And
is that can just be soul crushing. If turn 1 or turn 2, light side goes to attack and says, well, they can win the edge battle, but they can't kill my unit, and they don't have the tactics right now. And suddenly,
there's 3 guns.
Like, oh, okay, so you've attacked before edge. Let's start precog.
Boom. Yeah.
So Andy, how did that dark side end up working out in the tournament? Because I know you missed the top cup by only a point or two, right?
I can't remember now. I think it might have been strength of schedule actually. So
okay.
Yeah, I was borderline top cut. My dark side I think did better overall on the day than light side. I think it won 1 more game than my light side did, and that's purely.
That's awesome.
And that's dark side's awesome. Also because Toggle absolutely
Andy
destroyed my Jedi. Matt.
Yeah, you were on 25 points, Andy.
Was I? So yeah,
you were on 25 points, and the cut was at 27.
So had you not been swept that final round,
yeah, Davey, god damn.
Oh, you got swept in the last round?
No, I swept in the last round, but kind of round
you
4, I
swept in the
think, Davey just
Oh,
destroyed
okay.
my hopes. So
Dude, okay, so I was playtesting against Davey the night before the tournament,
Yep.
and his light side deck is what convinced me to switch. Because his light side deck was just, oh, you wanted to do that with Navy? I'm sorry. Nope.
Yeah, no, not happening.
I remember
Nope.
I remember watching that game, actually. I walked over and I saw Corey Yoda, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah,
Yeah,
both of his decks were
that's definitely going to be part of my world's prep for 2016. You know, the ticket.
Coriota.
Play against Davey.
Play against Davey. Make sure, you know, I'm okay, I've got all the cards, make sure my bags are packed, make sure I've got my passport, and make sure I know what the hell Matt Davies playing so that he doesn't destroy me. But yeah, so... Detained. Luke got detained twice.
Yeah, who
runs that card?
set? Davey.
Your papers. Your hardware.
Yes. Oh dear. So that was painful.
So it seems like most of the people in this group none of us were on Navy. So we all made the decision. Mick had you had some Navy splash, but you weren't on the Navy deck that everyone.
No, I wasn't
So-
on Navy Fortress.
So we all seem to do better with our DarkSide decks because we countered that meta change, right? So for the people that played Navy, Mono Navy, and not the Shield build specifically, because I know Zach and John Heath Clark were on that Shield in Navy deck, which is something that our playtest group didn't even consider because we just missed the Sabotage and the Snow thing.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I think the Navy Fortress deck is still really good.
I don't think it's
you know, people,
bad.
If it
something
comes
people
out.
can go back to should Lightside try to play a slower, more control-based game.
Yeah, it's always going to be
So,
there in the back
I mean,
of
to
everyone's
write it
mind.
off, I just don't think you can do that.
No. I'm definitely not trying to write it off. I do think it's a really good deck. But specifically why DarkSide seemed underwhelming since we're at Worlds and since Worlds. The answer to that is really because Lightside adjusted to deal with it.
But that's...
It
I love the fact that the two different decks with two different win conditions, though, is if you adjust your light side deck to take into account a Navy deck, all us four then did not play that Navy deck. And then the wheel spins. So it's do you double... I mean, going forward into next year, do you double bluff yourself and go... how do you do that? I love that. I love how that becomes a decision.
You wait until the morning of the tournament.
And you see what Matt Davies playing?
Is that what you did? How many people are registering with Navy decks? Oh, I will change. Smooth.
I didn't switch after registering. That would have
No, we wrote down our deck list at the hotel that morning,
Yeah.
but it was kind of like Tom's like, I don't know which deck to play, and I was like,
wrote my
play
deck
whichever one you're the most confident that you know how to play it against the deck you're going to see the most.
I wrote my deck list down at the Fantasy Flight.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Scotty did the same thing.
Well, you grabbed mine to copy it because you didn't know what was in the deck.
No, because I unsleeved and re-sleeved.
Did you?
Because my Navy cards were in my nice new sleeves.
But for me, that's a good thing. If you've got, because Scotty did the same with his light side. He basically built a great Jedi deck and then a crazy off the wall blaster emplacement blow your head off deck.
Wait. He built a crazy blaster deck, and then I gave him my Jedi list.
Did you? Okay. Right.
Yeah. And so
I was like, please, Scotty, play
a
this.
good
Don't
deck.
your thing.
everyone in our hotel room except for me played the same light side deck, and the only reason I didn't play that deck was I did not bring the right sets with me. I brought the Tripp set instead of the other one.
Okay.
And I only had one Luke, and I was like, I can't go like buy the cards, and this is stupid. I didn't have anybody to borrow it from, so I was like, whatever, I'll just run the deck I have.
But yeah,
I want to get back to Scotty's blaster emplacement deck.
yeah, or
So
AKA
I'm pretty
Scotty's
sure
I Will Mill
because-
You deck as well. Sorry, Mick.
Oh, that deck was so dumb.
Which
it
one?
was it had Heroes of the Rebellion with Wes.
Yeah. It was Heroes of the Rebellion, Rogue Squadron
West-
Assault, blaster emplacements, Leia.
Chewbacca, I think. Didn't he have Chewbacca?
You may have.
I don't
had-
know.
you may
No,
have
I don't
had-
remember. There was something
Had
else.
Jedi Leia. I feel like it did it have
Yeah,
Yoda?
it had Jedi.
So
Land.
basically,
That's
every card that said pay 1 to do a damage to everything on their board, or focus this unit to do a damage to something on their board was in his deck.
And it was ridiculous.
It did have the best stay on target ever.
Go on.
Well, against you, he was playing his blaster emplacement deck against your Sith deck.
I've blanked this out. I've wiped this memory.
Yeah. He had nothing on the board, and you kept playing mains, but he had double blaster emplacements and brought out battlefield engineers, attack, and somehow your board got empty, and it was like Palpatine trying to hold back everybody, and Palpatine's like, well, I got to swing for the game. If I blow up this objective, I win.
It wasn't.
And if I don't attack, the blaster emplacements take me off.
Yeah.
So you attack. There's a huge edge battle. You don't have a twist, and stay on target brings in West.
Yep.
And West
dies. I hate those games where you need to attack or Palpy dies. Hey Tom.
I have no idea. I've completely blocked out Nationals with all the memories from Worlds.
Yeah, direct damage is a thing. It's a thing. It's not like somehow my board disappeared, Mick. It's just when you're facing 82 blaster rifles.
So I played against that deck later on too, and I think the only reason why I wasn't crushed was because he did not find his blaster emplacements.
And Rancors are pretty good at eating battlefield engineers as well.
Rancors are not so good when the opponent just plays a whole bunch of X-Wings.
Yes. You can't. They don't go down too easy.
They're like, I'll play X-Wings. Go to conflict. And I'm like, are we going to rumble this turn? Let's go to force.
Damn it.
Oh, Rancor eats itself.
Yeah.
I had enough Night Sisters defeated in Gamorreans.
Well, I hope.
Rancor
Oh, sorry. I hope we. Anyone got any last thoughts then on Nate's topic, DarkSide? It's definitely in an interesting place now. It's not quite the simple.
DarkSide's sweet. You can build all kinds of cool DarkSide decks.
Yeah, but it just, as you say, Nate, it didn't quite hit the spot at Worlds. It seems a bit.
Yeah, which was a good thing. I'm glad that DarkSide didn't come out and just win every single match through the whole tournament. And that, there was an answer to it, but as Mick and others have said, it changed enough that people had to take into consideration.
Yeah, which is good. So I hope we did it justice, and well, definitely that format of a new topic from the guest every episode. I think we'll continue with that because it's a great first discussion topic there from Nate. So thanks for that. So now is the point in the show where we're going to start talking about the new movie, Episode 7 of The Force Awakens.
Spoilers
So
incoming.
Massive amounts.
Leave if you have not seen this.
Sirens blaring, big signs on the screen.
Leave and go see this if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, seriously, why are you watching this? Go watch that.
Yeah.
And then come back and finish this.
So we'll give you a couple of seconds to just make sure we don't start talking. So, spoilers over, then. Well, spoiler kind of a warning.
Ready for
done.
spoilers?
We've all seen it. So, guys, scores out of 10, well, not score, maybe not even scores out of 10, but thumbs up or thumbs down in 3, 2, 1.
I don't have enough thumbs.
Good. So we all liked it. That's a good start. Mick, I think you were the last to see it, so it's probably freshest still in your mind. What were your thoughts overall? Enjoy?
2 hours went by really, really fast.
I
went to go see it again this afternoon, and those 2 hours went by just as fast.
Anything better, worse on the second viewing? Because I've only seen it the once. So.
I think I had a lot of... I'd gotten in my head that Rey was Han's daughter, so I was waiting for that to come during the first one.
Okay, yeah.
And it just never did, so during the second one, with that out of my mind... I got to enjoy more of the characters and the story they were telling. But there's a bunch of questions left by this movie, and I think the movie, to its credit, does not answer anything.
Yeah,
no. I have a bunch of things here that I want to discuss after we get everybody's opinions.
Eventually, I want to talk about. I have a crazy, ridiculous, will not be right off the wall theory about who Rey is.
I love it.
Sure. Yeah.
And if it comes to happen, I told everybody.
Jar Jar's
And
daughter. Jar Jar's daughter. No.
Bam!
Yeah.
Yes. No. Probably not. Nate, what do you think? You've seen it 3 times?
I've seen it 3 times.
Okay.
This man is a beast.
I'm crazy. Every time I keep finding new things that I like about it. There are very few things that bother me about the movie. I have 1 or 2. Pretty much it's Empire Strikes Back, Force Awakens. So that's like the highest praise I can give a movie.
Done. Yeah, I think it's the same for me. It's not perfect, but the only things that I can really put my finger on are they're really not that big, and they're more just questions around that weren't answered in the film about, well, how did that... And I'm probably just too much of a Star Wars nerd to want to wait 2 years to find the answers to that. So I can't fault the movie really on any level. And for me, the biggest thing that this film had to get right was handing the torch over from the old cast, the legacy, the Han, Luke, Leia, to the new characters, your Reys and your Finns. And I think Rey and Finn and and BB-8, all those new characters they're amazing. I'm really bought into what their story is, and that for the first in a trilogy, we've got to remember it's the first of 3. That's the main thing to get right. I left Kylo off that list kind of for a reason, but we'll come to that.
Yeah. I loved it. I definitely have a list of things that I think are questions, things that are wrong, things that were weird, but and I've had a bunch of discussions with a bunch of people about this movie, specifically one of my best friends who's a huge Star Wars fan, and he hated it.
Really?
Which is he straight up, he had a lot of issues. So I've talked to both people who have loved it and people who've hated it, but my big thing is, like, while sitting there in the theater, and when I walked out of that theater, I was huge smile, loved every second of it. Like, it was a great time. I was super entertained. Like, are there some weird things? Are there some questions? Are there some things that don't really necessarily make sense? Sure. But it was a extremely entertaining Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what it had to be. Because if it wasn't, that's when we'd be pissed.
It wasn't episode 1.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We want to talk about some of the. I'm going to bring them up, and I want you guys.
Okay, yeah, go in order. Seems like a good way to do it.
We will shoot down your.
Okay.
Try not to lead us down the answer you want. So just was Kylo a bad guy? No, yes or no? try not to do that.
Kylo is shit. Agree or disagree? No. Specifically, so let's talk about Kylo first. My first and biggest issue with him is, haven't they learned that we don't want whiny bad guys? Anybody else? Agree, disagree?
I agree. Whiny bad guys, bad. A couple of things though. He is still. It seems I don't. Again, one of these questions they didn't answer was, how long has Luke been away? How long has it been since Kylo went crazy and abandoned the Jedi training?
I agree, and I would love to know the answer.
So we don't know how old Kylo is and how long it's been since his formal training. No, he's not 12, but he's 20 to 25, I think. So he's still quite a young guy, and it seems like he's still not completed. He'd never completed the training with Luke because he apparently went mental halfway through it.
Or with Snoke.
Or with Snoke, because at the end of the movie he says, "Come to me now that you've done that big spoiler thing, and we'll complete your training." So he is. We don't like whiny guys, but he is by definition kind of a spoiled, whiny little brat who's still to get his way, kind of thing.
I feel like, yes, he was
is not
whiny.
in control of his emotions.
Correct.
Yeah, I felt like he would.
And I'm fine with that from a young DarkSide character.
Yep.
Okay. Nate?
And I felt like he was less whiny, and as Mick said, not in control of his emotions. That whatever the emotion was that came out first, he just expressed that, and there was no filter. So it was like, it was perceived as whining, but it was really just him reacting on the first action that came into his head.
Yeah, control. You must learn control.
Okay, so I agree with all those things, and I think he appeared to be whiny. It was kind of annoying, but overall, I'm okay with that.
And that lack of emotion, that did, for me, came with some of the best scenes, certainly some of the best humorous scenes in the movie, where he just gets some bad news, takes his lightsaber out and starts wailing on the computer. And the two stormtroopers are like,
oh, heck
Is
no.
there anything else?
The funny part, though, is like Vader would just like murder people. Instead, he's like murdering consoles. Like he's just like, I'm killing this. Like,
Well, he did have the one line where he's like, I feel the light inside me. So it's like he's fighting it, but not like
yeah, for sure. All right. So follow up on him specifically.
Yeah.
Let's talk about his ability with the Force. At the beginning of the movie,
he's a badass. He's a badass.
Yeah. I know.
At the beginning of the movie, he does something to a blaster beam, right? Just stops it.
Yeah.
We've never seen that. We've never seen that before. It was maybe a Force stasis.
Clearly, really strong with the Force.
He's clearly ridiculous. But then, at the end of the movie, he doesn't lose a lightsaber fight to Finn, but he doesn't win it the way he should against a stormtrooper that picked up a lightsaber for the first time. And then he also loses to Rey, who is clearly Force sensitive, but like this also the first time she's ever used a lightsaber. So it seemed like he was like ultimate bad guy at the beginning, and then not so much at the end.
The two things. Oh, go
on.
Yeah,
so I'm led to believe that he's very powerful with the Force and has trained quite a bit on being able to extract information from people with his mind, telekinesis, and a whole, like, if he can stop a blaster bolt in place, having the foresight to see it coming and then react and hold it in place, he's very strong. But as far as a duelist, who would he have trained with? Like, who would be strong in that regard?
Well, this is a great question because I've never known the answer to this question. I'm a Star Wars fan, but I haven't read a lot of the EU and whatever.
Yeah.
Does your ability to use a lightsaber come from your aptitude with the Force? Like, not at all. It's a separate skill.
If you can use a sword, you can use a lightsaber.
Yeah, some of the things you can do with a lightsaber.
Part of using the lightsaber is predicting what people are going to do, right?
Yeah, but that's the kind of blaster bolt deflection kind of precognition. Just being able to have some kind of ability, martial ability with the sword, will clearly outweigh that.
Which Rey has.
Yeah,
there were a few times,
and clearly Finn has.
Yeah, there were a few times in the EU legacy stuff that
badly by the stormtrooper.
Hold on. I'm confused. What's going on?
So there were times in the EU with lightsabers and stuff where, you had to have some aptitude. Like I think, who was it, Corran Horn?
Yeah.
I think they had one that was a dual phase saber where he could lengthen and shorten it, but he had to like attenuate the crystal with the Force during, and it was like this crazy weird thing. But for the most part, it's like as long as you can pick it up and wield it, you can use it.
Okay.
So there's lots of bolt-on things like the blaster deflection and throwing it and returning to hand and doing all that stuff that Vader did, and building it. You need to be Force attuned and kind of that's usually one of the tests to become a Jedi Knight is, can you build your own lightsaber? But actually, as Nate says, just having a rook with it.
And I think to kind of go back to the points about Kylo Ren's whininess, I think part of that plays into why he lost the duels with Finn and Rey, because it's like if you see at the beginning, he's focused, he knows what his goal is, everything is clear to him. As the movie progresses, he loses that focus after the big spoiler thing happens and he gets shot and is wounded.
He kills Han.
We've done
video.
He kills Han.
I think it's funnier if we just keep referring to
the spoiler thing.
The big spoiler thing. He basically is trying to recenter himself from that point
he's
on.
Also
like when
injured, right?
Yeah, when he's sitting there
he got shot by Chewie.
Yeah, when he's sitting there hitting the injury, trying to like anger himself, it's like his emotions are all over the place, and it's like if you're not focused and concentrating, I think a lot of the faults that he has become exacerbated the more emotional he gets and the worse he becomes.
So the answer to that question is it's a mixture between he probably has stronger Force abilities with certain things than the lightsaber, plus he was less focused and injured towards the end.
Uninjured, yeah.
It just seemed like a huge difference, right, between the beginning and the end. So I agree with that.
Mick, anything before we move on that one?
I want to get back to that stormtrooper thing. Like, why that stormtrooper dropped a shield or something like that?
Oh, we're not there yet.
And then
we're not there yet.
Phasma.
Want to talk about Captain Phasma now?
Let's talk Phasma.
Okay.
This is one of my biggest bugbears with the film.
We only get like 5 lines each, right?
No. So yes, that's her name, right? Captain Phasma.
Captain Phasma, shiny silver stormtrooper.
Yeah. So what was up with her just like, saying I'll turn off the shield for you. Like that's fine. You got 2 guys.
Just not loyal at all. Apparently, this was one of my big bugbears. Was again Finn.
To go down with the base.
No loyalty kind of thing. Just instantly.
Well, is this a problem with the this new organization, the First Order? It's called, right?
It could be. But yeah, those were probably my 2 biggest bugbears with the film. Was one, how could Finn? It was his first mission, so I get that he's not happy with the job he's been asked to do. But how can he then defect pretty easily, and with so much information about super weapon and plans and all that good stuff? And then 2, the one person who is supposed to kind of be his exact kind of the pinnacle of his career path through Stormtrooper, this Captain Orgasmo, amazing Stormtrooper. Loyal, second in command to second in command to the fleet commanders and to Kylo and all that lot. She just, as soon as things get a bit hairy and a bit bad, she just instantly kind of bottles it.
But now, didn't we see something very similar in Return of the Jedi, where, there was a fight, but eventually they caught like a couple officers outside of the little shielding thing, and they had a bunch of people with guns on them, and they were like, turn off the shields, and they did it, right? So
But you could argue that they knew about that because of Palpy.
The shields. I think they knew how to do it.
Yeah. But also you could argue that Palpy set that up.
She doesn't really know that they don't know how to turn off the shields, right? They just said turn off. No, they.
Yeah, the thing with Phasma is my biggest gripe, I think, with the whole thing. It's you go out and get a fantastic actress to play this role, give her 5 lines, and make her into a wuss.
Yeah.
It's like.
Oh, that was your reference to the 5 lines thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that, but.
Yeah, no, you only get 5 lines to talk about Phasma.
Brienne of Tarth, she is not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And we know that she's not. Well, we think that she's not dead. I've heard that she is supposed to be in episode 8, so we expect more out of that character, right? But that was a very poor start to the character.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the big spoiler, Han dying. This is not something that I had a problem with, but other people have brought it up, so I'm going to mention it. Does anybody think Chewbacca's response was underwhelming?
Yes.
Okay.
When they get to the planet, yes. At the time, no.
When they get to the planet?
Yeah, when they get to with Leia.
Oh, with Leia.
He just walks by Leia like, "Hey, I'm carrying this dude. Bye. See ya." Like, he doesn't go to Leia. That's my issue with Chewbacca's reaction.
Yeah. Well, that and for me, he had a life debt to Han.
Hold on. Based on the what is considered canon right now, do we actually know that he had a life debt? Because I believe that I read about this a little bit after I saw the movie. I don't think any of the stuff that directly references the life debt is canon anymore.
No, true.
So
that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't remember if it says anything in the actual novelizations of the books or not.
No, it may
or
not
the
anymore.
movies.
Okay.
The only reference of the life debt that was in any of the movies is where he asks, I think it's in Empire, where he basically Han tells Chewie to protect Leia, right? It's like right before he gets frozen in the carbonite, I think.
Yeah.
But
that's still
not that doesn't mean life debt. That could just mean yo, you're my buddy. I'm going away for a little while. look
Yeah.
out for my girl. Like,
Yeah, and that's probably he sums up a lot of people's, so mine especially, problems, if they're not really problems. But we're still basing what we think this film should be on 30 years and hundreds of books of
Although, to
information
be
that's
honest,
not now relevant.
Yeah.
Chewie does detonate all the explosives while he's still standing on the platform that's being detonated.
True. My
So-
vision and my hopes for a Wookiee who's just failed in their life debt is
He
basically
jumps
that
off the
he,
thing
that
and
he
kills him.
should just want to not be living anymore, kind of thing.
Chewie just takes his points.
Not commit seppuku, but just, just like inconsolable with grief, full on Wookiee rage, which that wasn't. He should have emptied the clip into Kylo, kind of thing, rather than.
yeah. So what did I? Again, I only saw the movie once. We got a 2 and a 3 person here. So he killed 2 stormtroopers, shot Kylo, and then basically the scene, he blows the thing up, and the scene cuts, and we don't see him again till he's in the Falcon, right? So we really don't know what happens with him during that entire fight between.
I think he's in
Kylo
move.
and Ren.
He's got to get out of there because
shit's blowing up.
that thing is going to go Nova.
I honestly, my feeling on it is when he meets up with Leia, if there had been a scene of the two of them embracing instead of Leia and Rey, I think that would have had more of an impact on the movie and made the Han death more meaningful to Chewie's character. Without that, it's just like, okay, Rey just met him.
Yeah, I'm fine if Chewie wants to go and be by himself, but to see if the movie had showed him grieving in some way.
Yeah.
And just a side thought as well, Han falls into that huge semi-bottomless pit with all the fog. And so Chewie must, like, just in terms of what he must have gone through to go and get that body. Was it Han's body he was carrying back?
No, he was carrying
right, okay.
Finn. He was carrying
Right,
yeah.
gotcha.
Han's probably hanging onto a weather vane under the...
Right, okay.
Under the star.
Yeah, probably not.
So a bit related then, what do we think of Leia's reaction to the Han death? So obviously she kind of has this inkling through the Force that, that's...
She felt it.
Yeah, but then, as you say, when Chewie gets back to base and things are the mission's over and she has time to grieve, she doesn't seem all that much.
Doesn't she hug Rey at the end?
Yeah, she hugs Rey, and her reaction seems more appropriate. Because she's like supposed to be the stoic general that's supposed to be keeping it all together. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, this kind of leads into the next question, which is the lack of backstories for these characters, right? So we met a bunch of new characters. I loved pretty much. I wasn't too big of a fan of Finn, to be honest. Everybody else though, awesome, especially Poe. He seems like he's going to be a beast in later episodes. But we didn't get much of a backstory. So like we just talked about Leia and Rey hugging at the end, and why were they hugging? What, like, who is Rey, right? Like, is she the daughter of a Skywalker? We don't know.
Do you want me to throw in my crazy theory?
Yeah.
Here?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Bam.
Okay.
Right now. Crazy theory time.
Okay. Kylo Ren.
Han Leia love child.
Skywalker.
Luke Leia love child?
No.
Oh.
No. So you have a Skywalker.
Why did he go there?
Yeah. Why?
Because it's the Lannisters.
The Lannister? Yeah.
Space Lannisters.
Skywalker.
So you have a Skywalker. How crazy would it be if Rey is Obi-Wan Kenobi's granddaughter? Hear this out.
No, I like it.
Obi-Wan and Satine, the Mandalorian queen from the Clone Wars, had a thing kind of going on. They have a kid. She doesn't tell Obi-Wan. Her kid has...
Wait. Is this canon?
No. None of... Like,
This
yes.
Was it ever?
The Satine and Obi-Wan thing happened in the Clone Wars cartoon.
Did they have a kid?
Which is canon.
Right.
No.
But them having a kid is
Well,
not.
let's say they do.
Okay. Let's
Imagining now
Let's say they do.
that she does not
Rey...
know about.
Yeah, she doesn't tell Obi-Wan about this. Has a granddaughter, trains the granddaughter Rey kind of as a young child, but they abandon her on Jakku to like save her from First Order, hunting Jedi, whatever. Blah 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 blah. Thus, it completely closes all of the duels in Star Wars. So you have Anakin and Obi-Wan dueling. Obi-Wan turns Anakin into Darth Vader in their duel on Mustafar. Anakin as Darth Vader kills Obi-Wan on the Death Star. Anakin as Darth Vader is killed by Luke, in essence. Luke's nephew, Kylo Ren, and Rey eventually duel and like kill each other, or one of them kills the other, and it basically brings all of the crazy balance stuff to fruition. It's way convoluted. It involves way too much outside stuff. But if she is somehow a Kenobi, it would be awesome.
Part of that problem is that part of like what you just said is why they dropped her off. Maybe it was because the First Order was hunting Jedi, but there's no proof of that happening, right? Like Kylo definitely went evil, and he killed the other Jedi that Luke was training. We know that, and he kind of bounced. But this is part of the whole timeline thing that Andy brought up earlier. Like, how long ago did that happen, right? To me, it seems like it's no more than 5 years ago, right? Because if it was more than 5 years ago, that dude should be fully trained at this point, right? So if that happened 5 years ago, and Rey is clearly 18,
20-ish.
Let's say 20. So she looked like she was about 5 when she got dropped off at that planet, maybe 7. I don't know, between 5 and 7. That wasn't 5 years ago. So the trigger for her getting dropped off wasn't this dude went evil, right? So we wanted to hide her. So what I want to know is, why did she get dropped off on that planet, right? And if she is a Skywalker,
well, that's the thing though. If she is, why do none of them recognize her? Or is it just that they didn't choose to recognize her in the movie?
Yeah. Or that only Leia recognized her and had the hug.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And I mean, if she got dropped off when she was 5, for all we know, when she got dropped off, her name maybe changed over time, and they didn't recognize her. Who knows, right? But
they know which planet that she came from.
And she'd never left the planet. So.
Well, and so do we know that it was a woman that dropped her off, or do we not know that?
I don't think you know.
We don't.
I think it's just the shuttle flying away and somebody was holding her hand.
Yeah.
Somebody on the planet holding her hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was that guy that she was selling the parts to.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I question the best answer I've gotten to this question, which I really like this answer, is that Rey's parents were training under Luke with Kylo Ren at the same time, and they didn't want to bring her into that environment because they thought it would be dangerous, so they dropped her off first, and with somebody that they trusted to watch after her or whatever.
Yeah.
And then while they were being trained, which could have been a process of 10 years, right? Because they oh, we're losing Mick. They could have that could have been a process of 10 years where they were getting trained. They started very young, or like Kylo started young, but her parents might have been older to start, but they were all getting trained together. And then Kylo went crazy, killed everybody, including her parents. And maybe maybe Kylo stole Luke's lightsaber and killed all the other people with the lightsaber, which might be why the lightsaber was calling to her, because the lightsaber killed her parents or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it's Harry Potter.
Just what?
It's Harry Potter and the wand is.
But that does bring up how did that?
Rey does have that lightning bolt on her forehead,
and she wears glasses.
Hey.
But it does bring up that other question of the woman that they go to see with Han and Chewie. And on that backwater planet, why does she have the lightsaber? But doesn't she also tell Rey, look, don't go back to Jakku and wait for someone? They're clearly not coming back for you.
Correct.
So that kind of does all tie in if somehow that woman knows what went down, because she does seem to be like an information broker, knows everything everywhere.
I tend to think that she is part Skywalker, but she seems so Force sensitive or whatever, right? Her ability to pick up the Force and like, I believe she doesn't know what a Jedi mind trick is, right? Like, and then
She doesn't know what she did.
she like attempts it 3 times and masters it, right? Because like,
So are you
right?
trying to say that her midichlorian count is
Whoa now, whoa now.
No. I'm without mentioning that word. I'm guessing that her parents were Skywalker and some other Jedi family that we
Lineage.
may or may not know about.
Yeah.
Arcane.
Side note: the stormtrooper that she mind tricks to let her out of the interrogation is Daniel Craig. It's James Bond.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And Simon Pegg's in there somewhere.
Yeah, he's an alien wandering around, isn't he?
Yeah.
So what did you guys think about the lack of backstory in general? I mean, I know we're making up a bunch
Yeah,
of stuff.
I'm really hoping that Rey winds up truly coming from nowhere, and her backstory is never fully explained. Just somebody from the Resistance or so, and it's never delved into, and it gives that option for a story of talent and real talent coming from nowhere and not coming from a famous family or an established school.
Yeah.
I'd like to see her
I would be okay with her not coming
character.
from a famous family, but I would still want to know why she was left on that planet and where did her parents go.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to know why she was left on that planet. Who her, I just don't want her to be I don't want her to wind up being a Skywalker.
Yeah.
I don't think the Skywalkers should have a monopoly on all the force power in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Seems overplayed at this point.
Sure. But then why would Luke's lightsaber be calling to her?
I like that. I maybe your theory that her parents perhaps were Luke's students, and they had a maybe they hit her on that planet because they did feel a darkness coming, or perhaps they realized that they could not raise a child
while training to be
Jedi.
Yeah.
I mean, is Luke going to enforce a rule of no marriage, no children?
Why do they keep leaving all these crazy kids on desert planets? Like, why can't they leave them on like Paradise Planet or something?
The daycare costs are way higher on these planets.
Man.
The daycare costs.
Andy, what about you? Lack of backstory?
A couple of things. I'm kind of okay with the lack of backstory. If we're talking Rey specifically, I'm kind of okay with that for now, for the same reasons kind of Mick is. It's almost, you don't really get that much backstory on Luke in episode 4. You just know that he's got aspirations and wants to leave the planet. Rey's a bit the opposite, but basically I'm mirroring Mick's thoughts. I as long as they explain who she is and or how she got there and who she was waiting for, I'll be happy as long as that happens in the next movies. But I don't want her.
I just don't want
Skywalker.
it to be somebody so important.
Yeah.
So speaking of what you guys just said, right? So in episode 4, because this movie seems to mirror episode 4 in a lot of different ways, right?
A lot of ways.
A lot of ways. So, but in episode 4, we knew Luke wanted to join the rebellion before anything happened, and then, people come, they find the droid, his family gets killed. He kind of gets to go do that faster, right?
Because, well, he wanted to join the Imperial Navy, not the rebellion.
No.
Yeah. Academy. He wanted to go to the academy.
Yeah, he wanted to go to the Imperial Academy.
Oh, he's dumb. I thought.
Have you ever seen these movies?
Yeah, Tom, get off. How do we hang up on Tom?
I can click the button. Well, okay, so then
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It didn't seem like she had enough of a reason to go do what she did in this movie. Like, she finds a droid. The droid was awesome. BB-8 was.
BB-8's
awesome.
amazing.
I thought it was going to be very hard for them to make a droid that you would kind of love as much as R2, right? And BB-8.
Oh, absolutely agree.
Yeah, BB-8 was a great droid. But like, she finds this droid, she immediately has the opportunity to sell it for like a shit ton of food, right? Which she decides not to do for whatever reason. And then they do get attacked, so she has this droid. She could have just said, no, take the droid, I don't want the trouble, right? but she decides to protect the droid, and then not only just like go deliver the droid, but then like do everything else that she does as well, right? Like,
I think part of it is that like the Force is guiding her towards these decisions to some extent, because it's like you can tell that there's a decision she wants to make and the decision she ends up ultimately making.
when she wants to take the food and then
And then she's
Sure.
like,
Yeah, and she's clearly, before she leaves Jakku, she's clearly kind of up on, the history of the rebellion in the Galactic Empire.
Yeah, she's heard about the rebellion and Luke Skywalker.
So all these
And
little
that the
things,
Falcon- the
keep
Kessel
coming,
Run
and
in
it's
14
just the next carrot or the next breadcrumb in the trail for her to go, oh, I really need to see this through, because she realizes it's the Falcon and goes, ah. She realizes it's Han and Chewie, and she goes, oh, I know you guys. And then she starts hearing about Luke and the fact that he was just a myth, wasn't he? And then Han says, no, he's real. And then she gets his lightsaber, and there's loads of different steps that just kind of, if you were in her shoes and you'd heard about Jedi and Luke and Han and the Falcon, and one by one they're presented to you.
as soon as I saw the Falcon, I'd be like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Go.
So it's a journey that, she'd never thought she'd have to take, but,
Yeah, so she had heard of the Millennium Falcon before, but
Mhm.
didn't recognize it.
Apparently, yeah, because she called it a piece of junk.
Yeah. And I think there's more than one YT-1300 in the galaxy.
Sure.
So.
Sure. So then the last thing on my list, which I don't necessarily agree with this, but it is going back to the too much like Episode 4, was I'm calling it Death Star 3 because I have no idea what the name of that planet was. Or
Star Killer
Star
planet.
Killer base.
Star Killer base. Okay.
Kill stars.
Yeah, whatever.
It drains them and then shoots them out at hyper light speed.
Yeah.
This was another thing that seemed super like we're just going to do Episode 4 again and change the characters. And did we need another, Death Star destruction type storyline?
Yeah, I think the climax of the story would have been fine with the family confrontation, with the big spoiler, and then lightsaber duel at the end. It didn't have to be the destruction of a huge base. So why not just bring Rey back to the First Order fortress, and then Finn and Han go to rescue her? I feel like it was a Star Killer base, so they could have an action sequence with the starfighters and something for Poe to do. I really like Poe, by the way.
Yeah.
Poe
is
awesome.
Poe is what I've always envisioned Wedge Antilles truly being like.
Just cocky,
but not
badass.
represented correctly in the movies. Type.
Yeah. So the two characters that you haven't mentioned yet that I would kind of like to get your guys' opinions on is Hux is an amazing villain. The general guy. He is awesome. He is so just over the top. Like, I am all First Order and we're going to kill everybody. His role is awesome.
Which if we're talking about him, right, this is the huge difference, right, between the First Order and the Empire, because if that dude talked to Vader the way that he talks to Kylo, Vader would have been like, you fucking murdered, done, right? Like, end of story. He's dead. And Kylo just like takes it, right?
Gives
Like
a bit to Vader in Episode 4. Doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
a little bit, but yeah, they are.
But not like that. Like,
oh no,
the people that really backtalk
the
Vader.
people in this First Order are all quite young.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely loved Hux's character. Like, the guy played it awesome, and like, I'm looking forward to seeing more of his fanaticism displayed in the next couple movies. The other one is Snoke.
Yeah.
So there's two theories going around. One is that he is Plagueis.
And
He's
the other
Darth
is that he's
Plagueis.
Jar Jar.
Oh, you reckon?
And it's one of those two.
No,
Oh.
the other is that he's not Darth Plagueis. But so my whole thing
is
against
he as big as he is, or is that just
I don't know.
That was a
I think that's just the
hologram.
hologram.
It's
Yeah.
just the hologram
So-
making him that big?
Yeah.
Because
If
it would be actually amazing if there
Yeah.
was some creature that was force sensitive that was that big, right? Like,
Because like everybody's saying, okay, if he's Darth Plagueis, he's a Mun, which he sort of kind of might look like a Mun, which is a lot of the banking clan guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if he is Plagueis, why not just make him Plagueis and say, hey, this is Plagueis? Because at least it ties back to someone that you've heard of before. Why rename him, remake a new character called Snoke, which doesn't sound as cool as Plagueis, for whatever reason.
Well,
is there a chance that he himself is hiding the fact that he's Plagueis
Plagueis.
from the First Order? Like, because there are stories of Plagueis, right? Like,
Possibly, but why? Like, why does it make a plot point matter that he is or isn't Plagueis? Like, wouldn't it, like, in my opinion, it would be more meaningful as a Star Wars fan if all of a sudden another big reveal is, hey, look, Darth Plagueis is running the First Order.
and that still could prove to be true.
It could. It's just, why wouldn't you just make that a thing to begin with?
Hmm.
But that's just me.
Well, Han and Leia have heard of Snoke,
Yeah.
right? Because he
It
took their
appears
son
so.
away.
Yeah.
So, which makes me wonder, like, what in the world is the state of the galaxy now, 30 years later? Because there's a republic, and there's this First Order, and they're at peace, but they're at war, or they're not at war, but the Resistance is at open war with them. What happened in those last 30 years?
Yeah. That's
and I'm sure we'll get some of that information in these one-off movies that they're planning on making, right? I'm sure some of them will take place during that timeline.
well, how many have been announced? So we've got,
Just the Rogue One, right?
yeah, which is not the same timeline.
No, that's before
That's
Episode 4.
Stealing the Death Star plans, yeah. So
The first Death Star plans, right?
Yeah,
think
I
so.
think we'll get teased in some of these movies and hints, but otherwise, we need new novels to really flesh everything out since we lost our 30 years of expanded
canon.
universe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a very interesting theory on who Snork is, and
Snork.
Snork.
Yeah, Supreme Leader Snork.
That underwater breathing bad guy.
did I say his name wrong?
Snoke.
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 Oh my god. I'm
Jesus.
tired. It's been a long weekend. Leave me alone. Anyway, that was my list of issues that people have come up with. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't. But like I said when we started this conversation, I love the movie. I'm definitely not trying to bring it down, you know what I mean? But it's great trying to just talk some of these things out and see what you guys think.
Any more before we?
Let's talk about each person's favorite part of the movie, and I'm going first because I don't want any of you people to steal it. It was the part where they're running away from the TIE fighters. Finn and Rey, right at the beginning of the movie, they run away from the TIE fighters. They're running towards that ship, and he's like, "What about that one?" And she's like, "No, that's a pile of junk." And then that one gets blown up, and they have to turn and run to the other one. And the second they show it, and you realize that it's the Falcon, that was. It was really early in the movie. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love the Falcon. So
yeah.
that was probably my favorite part of the movie.
Mick?
Like surprise and.
Mick, we'll let you go next.
It is cool to be in any movie theater where people are applauding at numerous points throughout the movie. But when they were caught in the tractor beam and hauled aboard the big ship, and they're worried that stormtroopers are going to come in, so they need to gas the place because the masks don't prevent toxins. And then it's Han and Chewie. That was a good intro to their characters coming back.
Yeah.
Also agree.
Nate?
Oh. Let's see. You guys already picked two good ones, so I'll pick the one. When Kylo Ren is just going bonkers on that console or on the where Rey just escaped from, and the two stormtroopers walk up and are like, "Oh hell no!" and turn around.
We're just gonna go this way.
Yeah, we're gonna die.
Not today. Yeah.
Yeah, we're done with that stuff. That's good. That one was pretty good.
For me, it's probably the opening sequence actually, when the First Order go down to that Jakku and wail on that refugee camp or whatever it is, the village. It kind of sets the tone for just how sinister the First Order are, and B, something that didn't. Again, we've already talked about it. Kylo's power levels waning and waxing throughout the film, but it really did show he's a powerful badass. So that set the tone off for the film really well. So that was, given that you guys have stolen the Millennium Falcon reveal, I would go with that one. I think.
I'd actually like to add one more thing to that, and this was after reading one of the Card Game DB posts by Scotty. Upon the second viewing, I paid a lot closer attention to it, but the action sequences are a love affair with the bowcaster.
Yes, they are.
Yes,
they are.
That was another thing. Has Han never shot Chewie
Apparently
bowcaster in the last 40 years? He never thought, hey,
give me that.
Let me try this thing.
You try that out.
He likes the DL-44.
Yeah, that was. Also, Poe's line where he's like, "So do you talk first or do I talk first? I can't tell with all the apparatus."
Yeah, the comedy they really did. It wasn't over the top, but there was enough of it.
Yeah, I was wondering about that scene because it's that is not a respectful thing to say to
your captain.
Especially after he just killed a dude.
Right. Which is like, so is he going to be that sort of snarky, smart Alec type guy, or does he know who Kylo Ren is and just, okay, you're similar age as I am, and I don't have any respect for you?
Yeah, seems that way. Not many people seemed to know of Kylo. They didn't.
Max von Sydow did.
Yeah, true. So.
And to bring it back to the Star Wars LCG, I can't wait for some of these to be cards.
Yeah,
like
so
I want a BB-8 pod.
Let's spend a bit of time talking about how that fits into the LCG then. So, who do we think these will? I hope they all make it into the LCG.
I've read a lot of stuff about this, and I agree. Like, even though most people don't love the prequels, like, this is Star Wars, the card game, right? It's not
original trilogy
Star Wars, the card game. I really would love to see just everybody in the card game because, as we know, more unique named characters equals more great deck building options, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I would
chance to have additional factions because you can have New Order and the Rebellion.
They'd be starting a long way behind, but
you get a big box.
Yeah, you get a big box.
Big box. I mean, if they released a core size box that only had 2 factions and it was one of, so you had to buy 2 of it, you could get them a good amount of pods right from the start. And they could also do something similar to how they integrated these factions into X-Wing, where, you know, maybe there's some synergy between Navy and First Order and the rebel sides, where you can maybe integrate them in, but they are considered their own thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see more of these characters and other characters in this game for sure.
Gotta hope as well, because FFG don't seem to be going down the prequel route at all in any of their games, but with X-Wing you've seen the 789 material being used, so Disney don't have a problem with that, at least for X-Wing.
Yeah.
Could be that we'll see them in the not too distant future. Whether they'll just splash release a surprise core size box on the LCG like they did for X-Wing, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So
That'd be pretty sweet.
are we done with spoilers then, with movie discussion? Any last bits anyone wants to talk about that we haven't? I'm conscious that that's gone on for a good half an hour plus. Anyone? No,
All I got.
well, I think it's fair to say the Force has truly been awoken. It was a great film. I don't think there's that many people out there that disagree with that. I'm surprised, Tom, that you said you've got a friend who hated it.
I have 2 friends. One that I've had a discussion with. The other one just posted on Facebook. But they both have very similar problems with the movies. But I think they take all those little things that we just talked about, and they really dwell on all of them instead of just taking a step back and saying like, did you enjoy the movie? Yes or no? Right? Like,
yeah. Okay. Well, I guess there are a lot. That's something to take home from this. There are a lot of unanswered questions in there, and so that will annoy a lot of people between now and the books.
There are a
coming out.
lot more people that I've heard of though that absolutely love this movie than dislike it. Yeah, obviously.
Great. It's a great end to 2015, and hopefully a bright future for more main characters for the LCG. So
we'll get another Star Wars movie next December.
Yep. It's definitely a good pipeline of Star Wars content, so there's never been a better time to be involved in the game and the movies and the whole kind of scene that is Star Wars. So couldn't be happier.
Agreed.
But yeah, it's been a pleasure, guys. It's probably been a bit of a lengthier one than we normally would have, but film reviews won't come up that often, so we don't worry. Next episode, you won't see 40 minutes of film discussion. Don't worry.
This is true.
So thanks again to you all for joining. Mick, always a pleasure to have you, my friend. I know you've got to get off pretty quickly, but any shout-outs or thank yous to beyond the usual crew that you want to say before we pop off?
Looking forward to going to New York soon. I don't know if I'll be able to make it out to one of the game stores over there, but happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, you too. Good too. Hope you enjoy New York. Speaking of, Tom, always a pleasure. I'll speak to you over Christmas, I'm sure, and we'll get some games in. But any shout-outs for you before we leave?
No, I mean, the big thing that's going on with me right now is the Skype community is growing. It's great. We've had a lot of new players on there. A lot of the core top players that I know from nationals and worlds are all participating a lot, and we have this great group of newer players as well. So anybody who's watching this, if you ever need games, get on the Skype community. I'm sure Andy will put a link to that in the description down below.
Sure thing. Any kind of website we've talked about, or Facebook group, whether it be the UK map of store championships or the Skype community or any others, there'll be a link on screen at the relevant time and down in the description. So thanks for that, Tom. And finally, Nate, the guest of the week.
Nate.
Good to have you, mate.
Yep, thanks for letting me come on. It's been a pleasure. I guess thanks to Mick and Tom for beating me every year at Worlds and never let me be world champion.
Hey, you knocked me out last year, bro.
I did do that.
Yeah.
Wait, did you knock me? No, you knocked.
No,
me
I knocked you down to the loser bracket, and then Mick knocked me into the loser bracket. But yeah, just thanks to the community for being awesome out there. So
Yep.
that's pretty much it for me.
And if you need to find any of us on social media, or on the forums, most of our kind of forum names are down below. Nate is Ketricel on the forums, but on Twitter he's at GamerPlastic3D. Nate, do you want to say anything about that? Is that like a...
Yeah, right now I have a bunch of stuff for Imperial Assault to replace the cardboard tokens that come with the game. I have a couple sets of Force Commit 3D printed tokens, Rebels, Imperial, stuff like that. Over the next couple of weeks, I've actually been working on getting some new stuff out. I've been trying to figure out some stuff for Descent, which is the game that Imperial Assault is based off of, and seeing what else is out there. But
have you not made like the First Order commitment tokens, like the new movie?
I have not made.
Come on.
No, I also have Death Star tiles though.
Okay.
I need to make Star Killer Planet.
Star Killer Planet tiles.
So yeah, it sounds like if any of you guys want some tokens or play Imperial Assault, I know I do. I love that game, and I know Nate plays it pretty regularly as well. So head over to Gamer Plastic, check Nate out, and see if any of this stuff it takes your fancy.
I've seen a lot of it. It's great stuff.
So thanks to you all again. It's been a pleasure. Hope you all have a great Christmas. and we'll see you all in the new year. So until then, may the force be with you. Bye.